A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Business Live for today. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe, and as usual, we bring to you Business Live every day of the week, Monday to Friday. This happens to be the very last in the series of this week. And coming up in this edition, commercial production of crude oil from 10 field expected to begin from the second week of August. We bring you some exclusive pictures from the FPSO John Evans Atta Mills. Petroleum Commission expresses satisfaction with impact of the outcome of the local content law as local companies win contracts worth $1 billion. And the Institute for Energy Security and Energy Think Tank projects drop in prices of fuel on local markets between 2.5% on petrol and 1.8% on diesel. These are the headlines. You can always get interactive with us. On Twitter, you can tweet at JoyBusinessGH, and you can go onto Facebook. Our page is Joy Business. For more business news updates, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. We're taking a quick break. We'll bring you the details shortly.
Business Live today is brought to you by GCB Bank.
Thank you for staying and welcome back. Now, commercial production of crude oil from the 10 field is expected to start from the second week of August. This is a report by George Riafe.
That's the sound of one of the 3 generating plants on the FPSO vessel powered by crude and gas, which has the capacity to generate about 27 megawatts of power to support all activities on the vessel. The floating vessel, which is named after the late John Evans Atta Mills, is about the size of 3 football pitches put together and has the capacity to store about 1.7 million barrels of crude and can produce up to 80,000 barrels of crude a day. The FPSO John Evans Atta Mills is located at about 60 kilometers off the coast of the western region. But has Talu learned its lessons looking at the current challenges with the Jubilee FPSO? Graham Guy is head of operations for the 10 development.
Great thing about the 10 development. So we had more time to do it. Because we had the time, we did what we call design competitions. We got different contractors to offer us different designs, but we've been involved right the way through the development, and we've been able to put more contingency into this facility than we did do in Jubilee. You've got to understand, Jubilee was a fast track project that everybody wanted online soonest. We have more contingency on board, which means that we should be able to a more efficient unit.
From my experience on the John Evans Atta Mills FPS, well, maybe I might not be wrong describing it as a 5-star hotel far away on the deep oceans of the sea that can accommodate about 120 people. Because for me, it's just more than a vessel that can be used to process and store crude oil. It also has a state-of-the-art metering system on board that can measure every volume of crude oil that is exported, which will go a long way to aid tax payments to government in the future. According to the partners on the 10th field, the proposed second week in August would happen only if it is able to complete some critical test runs. They are pegging daily production at the initial stages of about 50,000 barrels of crude oil and plan to increase it to about 80,000 barrels. When commercial production starts at the 10th field, it could go a long way to increase the daily production of crude from the country's oil fields, pushing Ghana closer to the dream of becoming a fully fledged oil industry in the region.
So indeed, the FPSO Atta Mills is a state-of-the-art floating vessel that will be used for processing of crude oil on Ghana's second major hydrocarbon development, the Trinidad, Enyura and Intome field. Now, correspondent George Riafe has been on the FPSO recently and brings us these exclusive pictures from the field.
This is the FPSO John Evans Atamils. If you talk about the size, it's about 3 football pitches put together. Now, you can call this the focal or the central point because this is where the extraction of crude oil takes place. Call it a turret. About more than 4,000 feet below here, they extract the oil, a different tube, they extract the gas, extract the water as well away. Now, this is not just a vessel that just extracts the oil, but it's more of a whole facility on its own. You can talk about 3 generators that generate actually 27 megawatts of power a day. It's not just a facility that actually extracts oil, as I said, but also you can talk about a compartment that accommodates people, a residential facility, a whole facility, a catering facility, as well as everything you can think about. Just call it a hotel on the sea. Right, the whole experience, because we're going to look at this vessel extracting about 120,000 barrels of crude a day. Now, this vessel, a lot of measures have been put in place to ensure that the challenges those accompany the FPSO-1 or Kwame Nkrumah will not happen. Let's take a listen to one of the main men on this vessel.
This is the turret. This is the bit that anchors the vessel to the sea floor. It's unique because it has 2 sections, 2 parts. One part is stable, that's where it's anchored to the sea floor, and the second part rotates. So this whole vessel can rotate 360 degrees. So wherever the wind forces, whether that's current or whether it's wind, so weather forces, wherever the weather forces push this boat, it will lie as the weather dictates. And when she's empty, generally it's more the wind that has an influence because she's high out of the water. And when it's full up with oil, generally we're much lower, and then the currents have a bigger influence on how the vessel sits. But the whole idea is the vessel will sit wherever the weather conditions will place it. If you look over here, then you'll start seeing valves. This is all of the product that comes on the facility comes through the turret. So oil produced, but after that the water we inject, the gas we export, the gas we inject, all comes through this area here. So it's very complex and full of many pipes and valves, and a number of what we call safety valves as well. So on each riser there is a safety valve that if there's any problems, it stops any product coming in and protects us from the subsea side of the business, which there's an immense amount of inventory, but also remember that our wells are subsea as well. Okay, so a very important part of the facility.
So can't wait to be on the FPSO Atamils myself very soon. Now moving on, the Institute of Energy Security, IES, a think tank, says on the backdrop of a comfortable fuel stock, the falling fuel prices on the world market, and the relative stability in the local currency, it expects prices of fuel products to drop. The IES is projecting a drop in prices of fuel on the local market between 2.5% on petrol and 1.8% on diesel in the second pricing window for the month of July.
I think that in Ghana there are 2 basic indices we look at when it comes to determination of fuel prices. We look at the forex and the world market price. As of now, when I look at the world market price, it's around $46 per barrel. It should be made clear that Ghana, we buy from Europe, so it will be very inaccurate to use WTI. Our benchmark is Platts. That's what we use because we buy from Europe. And when you look at the Platts prices, petrol fell by $40.52 and diesel fell by $19.95 respectively. When you take other prices into consideration, there are other factors. When OPEC, that's when you look at the OPEC dynamics. Shale has started production that in US using a very cheap technology and a very efficient one. So US is producing more. When you look at OPEC Saudi Arabia contributes 40% to OPEC. Saudi stopped producing in January, and now they've started producing again. The main reason why they stopped the production was to stimulate the market. Today, Venezuela is producing as well. Libya also is producing. Nigeria is producing after they had issues with the militant. So when you look at the world market alone, there's overflow, that's oversupply of crude oil. That alone brings the price down. That's how come you realize that from the first window, which was about $49, the second window, which begins tomorrow, the price is around $46. When you come down to Ghana, we use our forex. The forex has been relatively stable from the beginning of the year. It's around 3.8,
Richmond Roxon is the Principal Research Analyst of the Institute for Energy Security, IES. Now, away from petroleum, Deputy Managing Director of Fidelity Bank Ghana, Jim Baden, says the bank looks forward to improving savings culture from the current 30% rate to about 60% by next year. To this end, the bank is rolling out more promotional activities to drive its savings campaign before the end of the year. Jim Baden said this during a short presentation to reward the ultimate winner of the Save for Gold promo in Accra.
In keeping with our annual strategy to increase our deposit portfolio, every year we launch a deposit campaign to encourage our customers to bring in more deposits, and in so doing we reward the winners with one item or the other. We've been associated with gold in this country. We've given out gold before. In our very first promotion, we gave out a 1 kilogram 24 karat piece of gold. This year we are also giving away for the first winner 1 kilogram 24 karat gold bar. The second winner takes away a half a kilogram 24 karat gold bar. The third winner will take away, or it's actually been given it already, taking away a quarter of a kilogram 24 karat gold bar. So this is how much. In addition, there are supplementary prizes. We've given away about 120 gold coins, and therefore altogether, if you want it in monetary terms, it's in excess of 500,000 Ghana cedis.
So on Business Live, here are some updates on how some food commodities fared this week by way of pricing.
The price for a bag of maize lost in only one market this week. A 100-kilogram bag of maize sold for 156 Ghana cedis in Dambai, representing a loss of 20% over that of the previous week of 196 Ghana cedis. The prices in the other markets remained the same. On the retail market, a kilo of the maize lost 20% in Dambai to close the week at 1 Ghana cedi 60 pesos from a previous price of 2 Ghana cedis. The commodity, however, made a gain in Kumasi. It gained by 2% to close the week at 2 Ghana cedis 40 pesos. A crate of tomatoes lost in some markets and gained in only one market this week. The highest loss of 38% was made in Accra. A crate of tomatoes was sold for 250 Ghana cedis from last week's price of 400 Ghana cedis. Takrady followed with a loss of 9% to close the week at 500 Ghana cedis from the previous price of 550 Ghana cedis, with Kumasi also losing by a percentage to close the week at 220 Ghana cedis. In Teshiman, the commodity gained 9% to close the week at 240 Ghana cedis from a previous price of 220 Ghana cedis. The prices in the other markets remained the same. On the retail market, a kilo of the tomatoes lost 38% in Accra to close the week at 3 cedis 20 pesos, with Takrady also dropping 11% to close at 11 Ghana cedis 10 pesos, and also with Kumasi losing 3% to close the week at 5 Ghana cedis 70 pesos. In the other markets, the price remained the same. The commodity price in Accra dropped sharply this week. This was due to the fact that consumers were using the exotic ones, but recently, the exotic ones are in low supply. Hence, they are now dependent on the local ones, which are low cost due to their high perishable rate as compared to the exotic ones.
So the food prices was compiled by Isoko Ghana. Now moving away, let's cross over for some international business news updates. All right, so it's a Friday, and as usual, we bring to you the analysis of the stock market, how it ended on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And Bertha, who is already here, tells me there was not so much brisk activity on the stock market this evening or today. Now, Bertha, good evening. Now, how did the market fare? You tell me it wasn't so brisk. Why? What happened?
Let me say, it wasn't, because if you compare today's trade to previous trades that we've had, right from Monday to yesterday, that was Thursday, this is one of the least, or the least in terms of volume, and the least in terms of trades, or even the equities are traded on the market. Especially on Tuesday, and then on that was on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we saw a lot of equities. Actually, that's out of the 38 equities, we could have about 12 or even 13 or 15 equities trading on a daily basis. But most of them, you look at it and it's below 1,000 shares for each of them. It's just a few that we see having maybe more than 2,000, and some traded like 30,000, and some more than 100,000. And yesterday we had Societe Generale trading the highest volumes of shares, and the second highest was about 40,000. And today, the total volumes of shares that we had on the stock market as at 3 p.m. was 37,900. That is why I'm saying it's the least, because yesterday we had about over 100,000 shares trading.
So what would be the real reasons behind this poor performance today?
Today, we could say the week is coming to a close. Most people probably, or investors, could have taken advantage within the week to buy and sell a lot. You know, previously we had this trend where at week open and week close, we usually have more shares trading, but within the middle of the week, we don't usually see more trades taking place. And so this is just a normal thing on the markets. It means less equities were traded in, or the demand and supply for these equities is what we had, or this is where the equities actually had exchange going on the market. And you know, typically that is what goes on. It is demand and supply. So if maybe I'm ready to offload some of my shares, then I have a buyer,
ready to buy,
then we'll have a trade going on in that particular equity. But if we don't, then it means we can have outstanding offers or even bids in some equities without the other side. That is, people are ready to supply or sell off, but they don't have the buyer or someone ready to sell. So it's two-way.
Okay, so which were the equities that really did well?
Today, like I said, today was not a very good day. We had just one mover. And that was ETI. ETI traded 2,500 shares as the second top trader in terms of volume, and it closed at 18 pesos per share in 2 trades. So with ETI losing on the market today, it's going to have some impact on the major indices on the stock market. Even if throughout the whole week we had some positive yields, and we had some ups and downs, today we're going to see a drop, a marginal drop in the major indices, because we didn't have any equity gaining. We had just one mover, and that equity happens to be a drop, and that is ETI. And ETI is the third highest market cap equity on the Ghana Stock Exchange.
So what about the currencies, since you don't have too much of the commodities today?
With the currencies, let's say this week has been very volatile. We've seen some marginal declines in the value of the CD against the dollar. Yesterday when I checked online, the CD was going for 3 Ghana to the dollar. It was 3 Ghana cedis, 91 pesos. And this, if you compare it to previous week, you could say that there's a marginal increment, because last week it was around 3.90 on the interbank market, and then today it's around 3.93. That's the average quote as at close of today. That's on the interbank. We didn't have trades for today, so Thursday's quotes is what is reflecting today. So as at today on Bank of Ghana, later this evening they might release what we have for Friday or Monday morning. We saw the CD depreciating marginally against major trading partners, especially the dollar.
Thank you very much for your time and for the analysis. That was Bertha Atubiga, stock market analyst, bringing to us up to speed with the analysis of the Ghana Stock Exchange. We're taking a break here. We'll be back.
Interview of the day.
The Petroleum Commission has expressed satisfaction with what it says is the inroads being made in the area of local participation in the petroleum sector as local companies win contracts worth $1 billion. Concerns have over the years been raised about the low participation of local companies in the sector since the inception of the sector some 6 years ago, a phenomenon blamed largely on the lack of capacity. As part of efforts to reverse the trend, the Commission has been making efforts to boost the capacity of local companies. Speaking with Joy Business, Head of Special Services Kweku Boateng said boosting local capacity would enormously inure to the benefit of the economy.
This industry, this is very sophisticated, highly capital intensive, and a lot of this $6.3 billion spent were spent on basically capital equipment, on the FPSO components, and the subsea facilities, the risers, flow lines, and breakers, the line pipes, and others, which are unfortunately are not manufactured here in Ghana. So if you look at the nature of this industry and look at the industrial capacity of this country, and as I said, if you also look at our sister countries that are found good, or you look at their history, how they perform local content, this figure is pretty high. And if you look the data, progressively we are increasing the number of local content year by year or month by month. Some of the contracts that in the past were beyond local companies, now you see Ghanaian companies doing it. Like if you look at the fabrication, for instance, now we are fabricating jumpers, stools, suction piles, all of them in Ghana. And if you look at the level of fabrication that was done for, say, Kwame Nkrumah, or 10 projects, and look at the level of fabrication being done for OCTP contract, you see that you have really moved to a very high level. Between 2010 to 2015, about $6.3 billion contracts have been awarded so far. Just about $1 billion have gone to local companies. And I think that if a lot of them have the capacity, the remaining over 5 billion contracts that went to foreign companies, at least some of them, pretty amount of them could have gone to local companies.
Interview of the day.
And on that note, we wrap up this evening's edition of Business Live. Thank you very much for staying with me throughout the week, Monday to Friday. And it's time to take a break for the weekend and resume on Monday with another interesting package. Meantime, you can always tweet at Joy Business GH and also Facebook on Joy Business. And for more business news updates, log on to www.myjoyonline.com/business. Before we go, I would like to wish our stock market analysts, Beta Atubiga, a belated happy birthday. Have a great weekend and keep watching.